You wake to the creak of timber and the scent of wood smoke, faint and bitter, like ash lingering on a tongue. Your hands are numb, curled against the fraying wool of a rough blanket. The bed beneath you is little more than a plank with straw. You can hear wind squeezing through the walls, thin, warped boards, nailed without care for comfort. You don't remember falling asleep. You don't remember this place. The room is lit only by the last gasp of last night's fire, a faint orange glow flickering in the hearth, barely warm enough to push back the cold. You sit up slowly. Your breath comes out in a white mist. Your clothes are wrong, coarse linen, an apron smeared with soot, wooden shoes that pinch your toes. Your name is your own, but it echoes in your skull like something distant. And then, knocking, 3 soft raps against the door. You rise and open it. A girl stands there, not more than 10. Her skin is pale as milk, her braids neat beneath a linen coif. She clutches a dried apple in her hand like a talisman. Her eyes widen. "They say you came from the woods. They say you're the devil's spy." Before you can speak, she runs, barefoot and silent, back down the frozen lane. You step outside. The world hits you all at once. The sting of the wind, the heavy sky, the shrill tolling of a church bell in the distance. You're in a village, small and orderly, all the houses made of dark timber and thatched roofs. Chimneys pour smoke into the gray sky. You recognize none of it, and yet some part of you feels watched, judged, as if you've stumbled into a life mid-sentence. A rooster crows, a dog barks. Behind you the door creaks open again. An older woman leans out. She wears a white bonnet and eyes sharp as crows. "Breakfast is after prayer. You'll find the pump. Wash your hands before you eat. We've no place for the unclean." You nod. She narrows her eyes. "You speak strange. Mind your tongue." And she shuts the door. The pump is frozen. The water that trickles out is icy and tinged with rust. You wash anyway. Your fingers ache with cold, but you don't stop. Because something inside you already knows this place does not forgive mistakes. You walk the village path as the sun begins to claw its way through the gray. It isn't warmth that arrives, it's light, thin and cautious, like it too is afraid of being judged. The houses are low, rectangular, huddled against the wind. They look less like homes and more like confessions built of wood and nails. You pass a line of drying linen flapping like pale ghosts. Smoke curls from chimneys, doors open without welcome. No one greets you. Their eyes follow you, though, peeking from behind shutters, from beneath wide-brimmed hats. You're not from here. That much is clear in every glance. Your clothes are clean, but not theirs. Your shoes are leather, theirs worn wood and scraps. And then there's your silence. The villagers talk little, and when they do, it's in murmurs, salted with scripture. The cold bites harder here, not just in the air, but in how people live. They don't just endure winter, they wear it in their faces. You follow the smoke and the sound of livestock to the Paris family's barn, where they've allowed you to sleep, though not without suspicion. You're no servant, but not kin either. You're simply there, like a problem not yet solved. Inside the barn you gather kindling. The oxen grunt, their breath rising like steam from a boiling pot. The hay pricks your skin, and your stomach growls. Then you hear it, a slow creaking. The side door opens, and a woman steps in. Her face is lined but warm, framed in a simple white cap. Her hands are rough from years of work. She carries a basket of dried herbs, the smell of which cuts through the animal stink like a soft hymn. "You're the one from the woods," she says gently. "They said you were found alone, no blood, no name on your lips." You nod. She walks closer, eyes never leaving yours. "They say the girls have been seeing spirits and dreaming of black dogs with human voices." She reaches into her apron, pulls out a small satchel. "Mugwort and willow bark. You'll take it with your broth tonight." You don't speak. She doesn't expect you to. "I'm Goody Nurse. I help bring babies into this world, and sometimes help souls leave it gently." Her eyes soften. "I don't think you're a witch, but in this place, sometimes that doesn't matter." She leaves the herbs in your hands and exits. You stare down at the little bundle, tied with thread made from hair. Later, in the meeting house, the entire village gathers for prayer. The building is long and stern, more barn than church. No cross hangs upon the wall. Puritans shun such things. Only the black pulpit at the front and the pews carved by hard hands. Reverend Samuel Parra stands tall, his robe like a shadow across the floorboards. He reads from the book of Job. "Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul." You sit at the back. You feel the glances. Eyes behind you, beside you, and in front, 3 girls, teenagers. Their braids tight, their faces flushed, not with health, but with something else. One of them, Abigail, turns and looks at you. She doesn't blink. She watches you like a hawk circling prey, like she's waiting for you to move wrong, to breathe wrong. The sermon ends. The people file out. You stay behind just a moment longer. The warmth of the fire still clings to the stones beneath your feet. Then, "You don't blink enough," says a voice behind you. You turn. Abigail. Her dress is plain but perfect, not a thread out of place. Her eyes gleam, not with innocence, but power. She smiles, sweetly, too sweetly. "They'll ask you questions soon. Best have answers that please the Lord." Then she walks past, her steps light, unbothered. You're left with silence, except for the slow hiss of the fire dying. That afternoon, you help chop wood behind the barn. "It's a way to earn your keep," Goody Nurse said. Swinging the axe becomes a rhythm, a prayer your body understands. You sweat despite the cold. A boy approaches, no more than 7. His nose runs. He watches you chop, then asks, "Do witches bleed?" You freeze. He tilts his head. "My sister said they don't. She said they can speak to pigs and make bread mold in one night." You kneel, slowly, careful not to frighten him. "What's your name?" "Isaac." "Do you believe what your sister says?" He shrugs. "She dreams a lot. Sometimes she says the devil wears boots and whistles at night." You reach into your pocket and offer him a small wooden button, something you found in the hay. He takes it like it's gold. Then he runs. That night, Goody Nurse gives you your portion of stew, thin broth with a chunk of potato and 2 green beans, bread but stale, no salt, no meat. Tituba sits nearby, feeding the fire. Her skin is dark, her voice soft. When the others are away, she sings to herself, songs not of psalms, but rhythms older than this land. She catches your eye and smiles. They fear what they don't understand, and they understand almost nothing. You sit near her, eat quietly. She glances at the door. The girls, they play a dangerous game, dreams that turn to knives. They think they can call spirits and not be seen. You ask, "Are they lying?" She shakes her head slowly. Not always, not exactly. You swallow hard. The stew tastes of ash and root. They say, "I taught them the devil's tricks," Tituba whispers. "But all I taught was how to listen, to dreams, to wind. The devil, they brought him with them." You hear the wind howl outside. It sounds like screaming from far away. That night, in the barn, sleep doesn't come easy. You lie atop straw with your blanket drawn to your chin. The animals stir beneath you, and outside the wind scratches the boards like a claw. And then you hear it. Laughter. Girls' laughter. Faint, like a ghost brushing against your ear. You rise and look through the slats. 3 figures, white shifts, bare feet, dancing in a ring behind the barn in the snow. You blink, and one of them stops, looks directly at you. It's Abigail. She raises her arm and points right at you. Morning begins not with sunlight, but with a sound. A heavy door creaking open, a bucket slamming against stone, the grunt of an ox stretching stiff limbs. Your eyes open to gray. Your mouth is dry, your stomach hollow. There is no luxury in hunger here, only its discipline. You rise with the cold in your bones and pull on your coarse shawl. The barn smells of dung and frozen hay, and you envy the warmth of the animal's breath. When you step outside, you see your task, hauling water from the creek, already crusted over at the edges with ice. You take the wooden yoke and balance 2 iron pails across your shoulders. The walk to the creek is not far, but every step is a negotiation with the frozen mud beneath your feet. Your shoes, thin, cracked, offer little protection. Your toes go numb. You hear whispers before you see them. 2 women, drawing water as well. They fall silent when they spot you. One crosses herself subtly. The other murmurs, just loud enough for you to hear, "The devil eats through the stomach." In the kitchen of the meeting house, breakfast is being stirred, a pot of cornmeal mush, thick and gray. A woman pours a ladleful into your bowl without looking at you. You sit alone at a bench near the hearth. You eat slowly. The mush has no taste, just texture, somewhere between gravel and glue. You chew not to savor, but to survive. You watch the others. The Reverend eats sparingly, eyes closed as he prays over each bite. His daughter chews with small, precise motions, as if afraid of sin hiding in the food. Only Tituba, seated by the ashes, eats with calm. She tears her bread in half and places the other on the bench beside her, a silent offering. You nod. She nods back. "Chew slow," she says under her breath. "If it's moldy, your belly will tell you." By midday, you are sent to help Goody Nurse prepare dried beans and roots for the coming frost. Her cottage is warm with herbs strung from the rafters, thyme, rosemary, burdock. It smells of old soup and medicine. A fire crackles low. Steam coils from a kettle where she brews something dark and sharp-smelling. She sets a knife in front of you and a sack of shriveled carrots. "Peel," she says, "and listen." You begin. They think you brought famine, as if hunger weren't already here, as if we didn't lose 2 infants last month to spoilt milk and wet lungs. She pours the kettle's contents into a jar. She explains, "The sickness rides the food, worms in the bread, fever in the meat. You eat wrong, you die." You pause in your peeling. Do they blame witches for that too? She shrugs. They blame what doesn't bleed, what doesn't bow. You nod and keep peeling. Later, she offers you a taste of the tea, bitter, pungent. It warms your throat. She watches you drink. "It isn't poison, though I could give you that too, if you needed peace." You shake your head. "Not yet." Her laugh is soft. "Good, I've enough ghosts as it is." That evening you help serve the meal. Salt cod boiled until it flakes. No spices. A single slice of bread, coarse and sour. The butter has turned, but they use it anyway. Waste is sin. A rat scurries across the floor just as the Reverend lifts his spoon. A gasp. The room freezes. Abigail stands up slowly, her finger raised. "There!" she cries. "A rat sent to spy." Everyone turns. She points to you. "It came from her hands. I saw her feeding it crumbs behind the barn." Your heart stumbles. "That's not true." "She talks to it," another girl adds. "At night, I heard her singing in a strange tongue." You feel the air shift, breath held, forks dropped. Reverend Paris rises. "Is this true?" he asks, voice flat. "No," you say firmly. But the room doesn't believe your voice. It believes the silence that follows. You're brought before him that night. The firelight in his study paints him in shadows. He doesn't sit, he paces. "You do not speak like us. You do not eat like us. The children say you conjure." You say nothing. He stops pacing. "I am a man of mercy, but mercy must be earned. Your presence here unsettles the flock. Even beasts sense it. Goody Nurse says you have strange dreams." You look him in the eye. "So do your daughters." That silences him. He dismisses you with a wave, but the threat lingers in the way his lips tighten. Later that night, you sit beside Tituba near the dying fire. She hands you a slice of bread, lightly toasted. "I saved it," she says. "I salted it with tears, though." You bite. It's dry but warm, comfort in its quiet way. She hums a tune you don't know, then speaks. "They say witches poison food, but in my homeland, it's the ones who starve you that carry evil." You nod slowly. A moment passes, then she leans in. "Tomorrow, check your bucket before you drink. Sometimes the girls place things at the bottom, sharp things." You meet her eyes. "What did I do?" Tituba sighs. "You walked into a place where fear feeds faster than bread." In the morning, you find something wrapped in leaves beneath your hay bed. You open it. A toad's foot, dried and curled. A message. A warning. Or worse, a story already written about you. You crush it underfoot and begin your day. Nights are when the village remembers its fears. By day, they pray. They churn butter and scold children, mend fences, recite psalms. But by night, when the cold creeps under doors and shadows bend unnaturally, their quiet thoughts grow fangs. You sleep in the barn loft above the animals. At first, it felt like safety, a height, a separation, a perch above judgment. But now it feels more like a sentence. The wind sneaks through the boards, wrapping around your limbs like a serpent. Mice skitter across the beams. You pull your threadbare blanket tighter, listening. Below, the cows groan in their sleep. The ox huffs once, then settles. Then wood creaks. Footsteps. Deliberate. Slow. You hold your breath. They move through the barn, not the hurried steps of someone feeding animals, not the shuffle of Tituba who walks softly and sings. These steps are watching steps. And then silence. A few minutes pass, then a faint clatter, a soft thump beneath your bed of hay. You wait until the quiet feels real again. Then you descend the ladder with care, one breath at a time. In the straw beneath your pallet, something glints. You kneel. A crude bundle, feathers, a dead mouse with its stomach slit, and a red scrap of cloth, your scarf. You don't scream. You carry it outside and bury it beneath a stone near the woods, your breath visible in clouds. Your hands are shaking, not from cold, but from the weight of what this means. Someone wants you to be guilty. The next day, you find yourself summoned. Not to court. Salem has no court, not yet. Only gatherings, hearings, judgments handed down like frost. You're brought before the elders, 5 men with furrowed brows and thin mouths. Their wives sit behind them, silent and severe. The meeting house is dark even in daylight. Outside, villagers gather, whispering. Goody Nurse stands behind you, her hand briefly on your shoulder. Reverend Paris begins. You have been seen walking alone by the woods. You were found without past or prayer. You bear no family, no testimony, and the young girls claim you speak to beasts in the night. You answer quietly, I have done none of those things. Paris leans forward. What do you dream of? You hesitate. Snow and warmth, a time when no one is hungry. Someone in the back scoffs. One of the men narrows his eyes. You speak strangely, too careful. Another adds, You are not of this place. No one is, Goody Nurse says quietly. Even Eden had strangers. Paris glares at her. Eden did not suffer witches. There's silence. Then a voice from the doorway. She came to me in a dream, Abigail says. She wore black and floated above the barn. She told me to drink her blood, or my mother would die. Gasps rise from the crowd. You feel the heat climb your neck. That's a lie. Abigail trembles. She said my name 3 times in the dark. More murmurs. A girl beside her, Mary, begins to cry. She pinched me, she shrieks, holding up her arm. See the mark. It's red, but old, fading. Still, the room believes it. They see a play. They choose a villain. The script is written in fear. The night after the hearing, they don't lock you up. They leave you alone, which here might be worse. You return to the barn. Straw has been tossed out, your bed scattered, your blanket soaked in something foul. You lie on bare wood. Every creak of timber sounds like an accusation. Every wind shift feels like a whispered curse. You don't cry. You press your palm to the side of your face to keep it warm and close your eyes. And in the distance, once again, laughter. Girls' laughter, the same as before. Then, silence. Then, a scream. A high, trembling scream from the Paris house. You bolt upright. By the time you reach the meeting house, the village is gathering in a storm of torches and cloaks. Abigail lies on the floor in a fit, her limbs contorted, her mouth foaming slightly. She saw her, a girl shouts, in the rafters, in a black cloak. She whispered devil speak. She sent spiders. The Reverend grabs you by the arm. What have you done? Nothing, you say, breathless. Nothing. But it doesn't matter. Tituba is the one who saves you that night. She steps between you and the mob. If she were devil-marked, she would not stand on church ground, she says clearly. The crowd hesitates. She eats salt. She bleeds. She works. She shivers like the rest of us. Still, eyes remain fixed on you. Then Thomas speaks. You hadn't seen him there, pressed near the shadows. I've watched her. She has done no harm, I swear it, on my mother's grave. The Reverend stiffens, but the moment passes. No one speaks again. Not yet. They disperse, but slowly, grudgingly. You remain outside long after the others return to their beds. The stars above are clearer than they've ever been, cold and uncaring. You whisper into the dark, "What have I become to them?" And the dark does not answer. The next morning you wake to pain, your back aching, your legs bruised. Someone has cut your blanket in half. You still have to work. You gather kindling for the fire. As you bend, Thomas appears beside you. He doesn't smile, but he looks at you without fear. I meant it, he says. I know you're no witch. You nod, silent. I know the look of lies, he adds. I've told enough of them. A pause. I once loved a girl. She was accused. She wept, begged me to defend her. I didn't. You stare at him. She hanged, he says simply. You say nothing. The wind picks up, scattering dry leaves across the ground. He places something in your hand, a sliver of birch bark. On it, a symbol, a circle within a triangle. You don't know what it means. For protection or for remembering. Then he walks away. You hold it tight, and for the first time since you arrived, you feel something flicker inside you. Not safety, but the memory of it. You don't know when you began waiting for him. At first, it was just coincidence. Thomas passing by the barn after chores, exchanging a nod, sometimes a quiet word. But now you notice your eyes searching the lane as the sun begins to dip behind the trees, hoping for his silhouette. You feel it when he's near, even before he speaks. Tonight, he brings you a stolen apple. It's withered, he says, setting it in your hands, but sweeter than the Reverend's sermons. You laugh softly. He flinches, surprised, then smiles just a little. That's the first sound of joy I've heard in weeks. The apple tastes of dirt and old sweetness. You share it in silence, the wind whispering through the trees behind you. I didn't want to return here, he says after a while, but I had nowhere else. My brothers in Boston took the farm, left me to repentance. You ask, do you believe in witches? He shrugs. I believe people are afraid, and fear needs a name. You look at him, really look at him. His hands are rough. A scar rides along his jaw like a crooked question mark. His eyes are tired but alive. I don't know what I am here, you say. He glances sideways. Not a witch. You laugh again. He closes his eyes like that sound is a kind of balm. The next evening, he finds you again. You're mending a torn hem near the creek. He crouches beside you and drops a birch leaf into your palm. Drawn in charcoal, a crude heart. You smile without meaning to. Not much time for courting here, he says, but the forest has its own language. He leads you carefully off the trail, through brush and across frozen patches of soil to a hidden spring bubbling beneath a rocky outcrop. Few know it, he says. The ground's warm enough here that it never fully freezes, even in January. The water is clear and bitter cold. You dip your hands in. It's beautiful, you whisper. Quiet, too, he adds. No prayers, no accusations, just earth and silence. You sit together. He plucks a reed from the water and weaves it slowly between his fingers. Do you miss wherever you came from? He asks. You hesitate. I don't know if I left or was taken. He doesn't ask more. You rest your head against the rock. It's cool, firm, real. And for a moment you forget that you are feared, watched, accused. For a moment you're just two people breathing in the hush of the world. But nothing in Salem stays hidden for long. The next morning, as you carry firewood back to the barn, Goody Proctor corners you near the meeting house. I saw you near the woods, she hisses, her face pale with rage, with the Miller boy, laughing. Her eyes scan your body. You tempt, that's what you are, a vessel of temptation. You say nothing. She spits at your feet. That afternoon, Reverend Paris summons Thomas. You watched from the barn, heart pounding as the boy is pulled inside by two men and the door slams shut behind them. He doesn't come out for a long time. When he does, his lip is bloodied. That night, you find him behind the stable, sitting on a stone. "I shouldn't have let them see us," he says. "You'll suffer for my weakness." You reach out to touch his arm. He pulls away, just slightly. Not rejection, but guilt. "They said you bewitched me," he says. "Said you walked naked in the woods with goat eyes." You want to scream, to laugh, to cry. Instead, you whisper, "Do you believe them?" He meets your gaze, and for the first time you see fear, not of you, but for you. "No," he says, "but it doesn't matter." Days pass. A silence grows between you, not out of anger, but out of caution. Every smile becomes a liability, every glance a testimony. Still, one evening, you find a note scratched into the dirt beneath the woodpile. "Meet me where the spring sings." You go. The air is crisp, laced with smoke and pine. He's already there, kneeling beside the water. He looks up. "You came." "I always will," you say. He reaches for your hand. You let him. His palm is warm. Your thumb grazes the edge of his scar. "I have nothing to offer you. Not land, not safety. You have silence and truth." He nods. "Will you run if they come for you?" You pause. "I think," you say, "they've already come." He leans in. The kiss is gentle. Chapped lips, trembling breath, a flicker of something brave in a world ruled by fear. When you part, he holds you a moment longer. "Promise me something," he says. "What?" "If they take you, I mean really take you, don't confess. Don't give them the satisfaction of saying they were right." You press your forehead to his. "I won't," you whisper. And for a heartbeat, neither of you is cursed. You are simply alive. But the fire always follows. 3 days later, as you feed the fire in the meeting house, a scream splits the air. Not fear, not agony, accusation. Abigail. She stands in the middle of the room, clutching her throat. "She burned me," she cries, pointing at you. "She kissed a boy and drank the blood of the moon. I saw it." Gasps, movement. A younger girl faints. Another begins convulsing on the floor, limbs twisting unnaturally. "She calls the devil her husband," Abigail screams. The Reverend storms in. The crowd gathers like dry grass to flame. You're seized. Tituba shouts, "She is innocent!" Goody Nurse tries to hold the door, but men shove past. You're dragged to the center of the room. Thomas bursts in, "Stop this, you fools!" But it's too late. The people don't want truth. They want a witch. They want you.
They strip your name from your mouth before you can speak. You are no longer someone's daughter, someone's friend, someone who once plucked violets near a creek or whispered lullabies into the dark. Now you are accused. They march you past the frozen commons, past the split-rail fences and snow-pinned laundry lines, into the low-beamed chamber where the magistrates sit like statues. You feel the eyes, dozens of them burrowing into your skin. Some look away, ashamed. Others do not blink. and Abigail stands proudly, ringed by trembling girls who echo her movements like shadows with lungs. "She came to me in the night," she intones, her voice smooth and terrible. "She pressed a serpent to my chest and told me to forsake the Lord." A girl collapses, another moans. "She made me see fire in the walls," one of them wails. "She whispered in Latin." They cry, they tremble, they fall to the floor in fits. And still not one touches you. The magistrates demand your name. You give it. They demand your place of origin. You try to speak it. It falters in your mouth like a broken bird. "You lie," one judge hisses. "Even your tongue refuses righteousness." You begin to protest. But then you see him, Thomas, standing at the rear of the room, eyes burning with helplessness. You want to run to him. You want to say, "This is madness. This is a game. This is a sickness with no name." But you are not allowed words, only pleas and confessions. You are taken to a holding room, a dark cell under the meeting house. There is straw, mold, the faint smell of old urine. Two others sit slumped in corners. One is Goody-Good, a muttering woman with eyes rimmed in yellow. The other is Martha Corey, her lips chapped, hands shaking. You curl against the wall. Your breath makes ghosts in the cold. Your thoughts are louder than any prayer. Why do they believe? Why do they want to believe? At dawn they come again. Not with mercy, with ink. A confession, words already written. All you must do is sign. "Name others," the scribe urges. "It lightens the soul." "If you confess," the magistrate adds, "you may live." You ask, "Even if it's a lie?" They don't answer, because that's the game. They don't need the truth. They only need obedience. You say nothing, so they try other ways. They prick your skin with a needle, searching for the devil's mark. They weigh your silence against the screams of the girls above. They show you Thomas's handwriting, a plea scrawled in haste. Don't confess. Don't feed the fire. You hold on to that note like a relic, a holy scrap. The second trial is held in the open square. The sun is gray and unforgiving. The crowd smells of sweat and wool and unease. The girls perform again, more elaborate this time. "You sit on my chest at night," one moons. "She came to me in the form of a crow," another says, eyes rolling back. "She scratched out the Lord's Prayer with her claws." Tituba watches from behind the fence. Your eyes meet. She nods, almost imperceptibly, not in encouragement, but in knowing. Then comes the worst moment. They call Thomas. He hesitates. You see the tremble in his jaw, the dirt under his nails, the thousand silent words behind his eyes. He steps forward. "My name is Thomas Miller," he says. "This girl is not a witch." The crowd murmurs. "She is flesh and blood, as frightened as any of us, as human." Paris rises from his seat, face flushed. "You are bewitched." Thomas breathes hard. "No, I'm not." There is a stillness in the square. And then the whip crack of the magistrate's voice. "Take him." You cry out, not his name, there's no time, only a wordless, desperate sound. They pull him away. His eyes stay on you.
until they vanish behind the door. The trial ends. The verdict is expected. Guilty, they say, not because of evidence, but because they need it to be true. Because if they're wrong, if you're innocent, then they are the monsters, and that cannot be. So you are sentenced to hang. That night you are allowed a final meal, a bowl of thin broth, bread with ash still clinging to the crust, a sliver of dried apple. It tastes like endings. Tituba slips into your cell. She says nothing, just holds your hand. In her palm she presses something small and soft, a dried flower. Nightshade. You look at her, eyes wide. She shakes her head. Not for you, she whispers, for the ones who made this world. You sleep, or try to, but the dreams come, not of fire or gallows, of before, of warmth, of soft footsteps in snow, of laughter beneath pine trees, of Thomas's lips brushing your cheek beneath a sky full of frost. Dawn rises. The noose waits. The crowd gathers like vultures dressed in piety. They tie your hands, lead you through the square. Children throw rocks. Old men weep. A girl screams, "She looked at me!" You step onto the platform. Wood creaks. Your legs shake. You search the crowd for him, Thomas. You don't see him, but you feel him. Somewhere close, like a breath behind your shoulder. The rope slips over your neck. A man reads from Scripture. Your heartbeat drowns out the words. A hush falls. The wind picks up. You think this is it. You think I will vanish from this world and it will not change a thing. You think, at least I loved. And then, "Wait!" A voice from the crowd, rough, loud. "Thomas!" He shoves through, bloody and limping, holds something in the air. A journal. Paris's handwriting. Lies, deceit. He coached them, told them what to say. Chaos erupts. Screaming. The girls collapse, wailing. A magistrate faints. Another demands quiet. Hands grab Thomas. But others step forward. Goody nurse, Tituba, even a midwife once scorned by the reverend. Voices rise, not in fear, in truth, in rage. The rope is pulled loose. Your knees buckle, but you are caught. You fall into arms, rough, warm, familiar. "Thomas," he whispers, "you wouldn't burn." You cling to him. Alive, not free, not safe, but alive. You wake in a cabin on the outskirts of the village. The smell of pine and smoke curls in the rafters. Your wrists are bandaged. Your throat aches. Your body floats between worlds, alive but changed. Thomas sleeps on a stool beside your bed, one arm slung over his knee, the other curled around the satchel that carries the journal, the one that saved you. You wonder how long he fought, how much he bled to reach you. You wonder if the soul can bruise. Outside, the snow falls softly, like ash. They don't burn witches anymore. Not since the journal was read aloud to the court. Not since one of the afflicted girls confessed between sobs, He made us say it, Reverend Paris. He told us we'd burn in hell if we didn't. It wasn't justice, but it was a crack in the wall. The magistrates retreated. The gallows stood empty for the first time in months, but the fear didn't vanish. It just changed shape. Now it clings to silence, to cold stares across the market, to whispers behind hands. No one says your name, but no one dares touch you again either. Weeks pass. The snow thickens. Life settles into something resembling rhythm. Thomas chops wood. Tituba returns to her tasks, quieter now, her eyes harder, her stories sharper when she sings to herself at night. And you tend a fire, you sew, you breathe, you write. Pages of it, memories like splinters that need to be named so they stop digging beneath the skin. Sometimes you wonder what would have happened if you'd signed the confession. Would you have lived a life in shame? Would the fire inside you have gone out? Would Thomas have still come for you? One evening he brings you a bundle of herbs wrapped in cloth. "Witch's bounty," he says with a crooked smile. You laugh, a real sound this time. Inside the bundle is lavender, thyme, and one perfect purple violet, just like the ones you once picked in a memory that feels lifetimes away. He kneels beside you. "I'm not going back," he says softly, "to the old village, or the court, or the books." You meet his gaze. Neither are you. In spring, the gallows are taken down, the wood repurposed for a new meeting house, though some say it moans in the wind. A letter comes from Boston, declaring the trials misguided, but it is not an apology, and the dead remain buried under frost and shame. On the first day of May, Tituba leads you to the river. It's thawed now, rushing and alive. She hums something older than the colony, older than the Bible, older than the Salem stones. She hands you a small pouch filled with salt and earth. "For burying what they took," she says. You kneel by the water and pour it in. The current carries it downstream. You close your eyes and you feel something release. That night you dream, but not of gallows. You dream of pine needles underfoot, of laughter, of Thomas's hand warm in yours, of firelight on a wall where no shadows dance but your own. You wake with words on your tongue, not fear, not grief, a name, your name, spoken aloud for the first time since you arrived. And in the hush that follows, a silence not of judgment, but of peace. Years later, a girl will find your journal hidden beneath the floorboards of that cabin. She will read your words, run her fingers over the ink faded by firelight and time. She will whisper, "She was here," and she will write your name down again and again and again, so that they cannot forget, so that no one ever forgets that you lived You loved, you survived, and you never confessed to a lie.